Hi guys, you're welcome back to Halogenous Ideas. So in this video, I'm going to be solving an assignment that was given CSC120. So I know the assignment consists of two questions. I'm going to be solving the first one in this video. Then all the questions under the second one, I'll solve it in another video entirely because I don't want this video to be long unnecessarily. So let's get into it. This is the channel. Please, you can support us by subscribing to the channel and turning on the notification bell. So before we continue, I would like to introduce us to this course I created for Python. So it is Code Like a Pro. um for this course is an 8-hour course. I'm coming, please. Okay, so this is the course over here, Code Like a Pro. It's a full course for beginners that want to learn Python. So I would recommend it for the course too, because so I've made it easier for us to go through the video by breaking everything down to chapters. So if you want to learn about typecasting, click on typecasting. If you want to learn about numbers, you click on numbers. If you want to learn about booleans, you click on booleans and you just play from here. So majority of the things I'm going to be using to solve the questions are going to be in Code Like a Pro, because the explanation is here. I won't want the video to be long unnecessarily, like I said. So let's get into it. So this is the first question over here. So this is the seventh one, the first, the second. I'll take everything one after the other. So I'm going to be solving this particular question with a Jupyter notebook. I'm going to be doing the two with Jupyter notebook. If you want to work using VS Code, it will work just fine. Another option for you that is accessible to everyone is Google Colab. So come to collab.research.google.com. It's something like Jupyter Notebook that is available for free online that you can just use. So you will see something like this. Well, my laptop is dark themed, so that's why it's giving this black color dark theme over here. If yours is default, it will give you all white. So come to new notebook and you have a notebook here you can use online, and this is mobile responsive, so even with your phone you should be able to work with this as well. You can, for example, print I am a boy. Let me zoom in very well. No, I'm trying to zoom in. Okay, so print I am a boy. If you run this, okay, I'm connecting for the first time, so it will first of all connect to Google server. Okay, yes, it's almost coming on. So okay, you can see I'm a boy. If I want to print 2, you can just run it and boom, you have your 2. So but I'll be using Jupyter notebook. So I'll be using Jupyter notebook. Normally I zoomed out. That's the reason why you are seeing it as big as that, because I want you guys to be able to see the text properly. Okay, so write a program that prints your name 100 times. So come here. For this one, okay, so this first line of code is going to be ignored. Why? It's a Python comment. If you want to learn more about comments, come to Code Like a Pro and you will see comments over here. So comments, try to just watch comments. You understand what I'm doing over here. So this particular line of code is going to be ignored by the interpreter. So write a program that will print your name 100 times. Since it's something that is recurring, I'm going to be using a loop. We have two types of loops in Python. We have the for loop and we have the while loop. If you want to learn more about loops, come to Code Like a Pro and you will see loops somewhere here. We have the for loop, then you have the while loop. So clicking on any of them, for example, the for loop, you can just come to for loop, then you play. So it will teach you everything you need to know about the for loops. So this we have the while loops as well, but for this particular question, I'm going to be solving it using the for loop. Um, or let me just do the two, then you see whichever one you want to choose. So A program that prints your name 100 times. Very simple. For I in range 100, print Allogenius. Allogenius is my name. So you can see, normally if you want to run your code, you can use this play button over here. Yes, this run button over here. You can use this run button over here to run your code, but I would rather go with shift enter. With shift enter on your keyboard, you can run your code like on the go. So this is, if you count all of this, it will give you, it is 100 lines you are going to be counting. So this is how to use the for loop to solve it. But if I want to use the while loop, let me put all of this inside a multi-line comment. No, z, no, print hello genius. So I want to put it in a multi-line comment. Okay, so the multi-line commenting too. If you come to code like a pro, you will see it under comments. You will see it under comments. So what is wrong with this thing? Okay, so sorry about the ads. I didn't tell them anything. Okay, so using the while loop, you first of all start with your index variable. For example, I equals to say 100. No, you can say I equal to 0 while I is less than or equal to 100. Let me just start from 1, so I'll just count all the way to 100. So I might as well decide to count from 0 to 99. It will work just fine, but for simplicity, let me count from 1 to 100. So you are going to be printing halogenius. Okay, but if I should run this code now, it will run into an infinite loop. My program will run into an infinite loop, and everything about how it will run into an infinite loop, you can find it under while loops. Yes, you can find it under while loops. Now, infinite loop is your machine running a particular line of code continually without anything to tell it when to break. That is just an infinite loop. Let me see if I can get a better explanation for infinite loops. Okay, sometimes called endless loop. Yes, it's a piece of code that lacks a functional exit. Exactly. So it repeats indefinitely. So now, a loop is a sequence of instruction that is normally repeated until something, a particular condition is reached. A condition is supposed to terminate the loop. You get, but in this case now, I've not added anything that is supposed to terminate the loop. If you take a good look at the for loop now, I didn't have to add anything to terminate the loop because for the for loop, it knows when to stop. For I in range 100, so for the first instance, I will be 1, for I will be 0. For the second instance, I will be 1. For the third instance, I will be 2 till it gets to the 100th instance. When you just get to 100, it stops by itself. But for while loop, since I'm adding I over here, if I should run this, it will run into an infinite loop. So how can I checkmate having an infinite loop? I will come and increment I over here, I plus equals to 1. So for the running for the first time, I is still less than 100 because I is 1. Print halogenius, I plus equals to 1. So I will be 2 for the next iteration. If you come and print halogenius, I will be 3 for the next iteration till I becomes 99. If I is 99, 99 is still less than or equal to 100. It will still print halogenius. It will come and increment again. I is now 100. So it's 100 less than or equal to 100. It is true because less than or equal to. So the equal to there is still true. But if you now increment I again, you're having 101. 101 is neither less than nor equal to 100, so it will just break out of the whole loop. So that way you are sure that you are not running into an infinite loop or an endless loop. It can crash your system actually, your laptop, your device. So if I should run this, it gives me exactly the same result. Now, it is safe to say that anything you achieve with the for loop, you can also achieve it with a while loop, depending on who is at the wheel. You understand? It is safe to say that. So moving on to the next one, you write a program that will fill the screen horizontally and vertically. So add the optional end into the print function to fill the screen horizontally. Okay. So let's go to the next one. I'll also use a multi-line comment here. So okay. So write a program to fill the screen horizontally and vertically. So what I presume that they want you to do is to use a nested loop. Yes. You can use a while loop and a while loop. You can use a for loop and a for loop. You can use a nested loop. Basically, is a loop inside another loop. For example, see what we did over here. I have this is a loop and this is another loop. You understand? This is the header of the loop. This is the body of the loop. For this one, this is the header of the loop, while this is the body of the loop. Now, a nested loop is a loop that is inside another loop. For example, this problem I'm trying to solve now, I can say something like for I in range. What I presume they want you to do is to, like I said, use a nested loop. You write, if you see the way we wrote this one now, if you see the way we wrote this one, halogeneous, everything is just stacked on top of each other. They want you to write halogeneous like continuously, like this. To come to the next line, write some bunch of halogeneous. Go to the third line, write some bunch of halogeneous and all that. So you have to put your name here. You don't have to put halogeneous. So for I in range, let me say vertically, I might want to print like let me say 60 lines, then horizontally maybe 15 instances. So for j in range 15, okay. So what do I want to do? I'll print um, halogeneous, then end, no, end equal to, let me just put a space bar. So it is going to be printing halogeneous 15 for each line, and it's going to be printing 60 lines. So if I should run this, you can see what I have over here. You can see what I have over here. So this is me just populating the whole of my screen with my name. So horizontally, I'm having halogeneous in 15 places, and vertically, I'm having a okay. Actually, I'm not having anything vertically because everything it is still on one line for now. So for me to print the next lines, I have to come here and print new line. Yes, this is how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. So you can see this is how it's supposed to be. Okay, so going to the next question. Now you can use a while loop outside, then you use a for loop inside. You can use a for loop outside and use a while loop inside. Like I said, it is still depending on who is at the wheel. You can write it whichever way you want, but for simplicity, I think this is what you should do. So come to the next question. Write a program that outputs 100 lines numbered 1 to 100, each with your name on it. The output should look like what we have below here. So copy and so um, okay, so write your name. Okay, okay, so okay, solving this particular problem, I'm going to be using a concept here. If you come to strings, you're going to be seeing it. The formatted strings. So for under strings, you're going to be seeing what I want to do. I want to use formatted strings here. Formatted strings. So normally, what you want to do is just like every other thing that we have done before. I used a loop here. I used another loop here. You can see the way we wrote the loops. So I like using for loop anywhere I can. So I'll just use for loop again. But you can use the while loop too, or I'll use the two. So whichever one you want to go with is totally fine. So what you want to do is for I in range 100, for I in range 100, what you want to do is to print formatted string, then you do something like this: I plus 1, then homogeneous, and boom, that is it. That is it. So everything down to 100. Now, why do I have to say I plus 1 here and not I? For the first iteration, since I'm saying from in range 100, it is assuming that, wait, let me see, I did something like the range function here. Okay, well, perhaps it should be under for loops then. Should be under for loops. Should be under for loops then. So under for loops, there's something I explained this range function. I said this range function, it gives you an iterable in the sense that, the range function, if it is only, it can take one, two, or three arguments. So in this case now, it is taking only one. If it's taking only one argument, then it's assuming that you want to start at zero, and your step is going to be one. So if you are starting at zero and you're going to 100, it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till you get to 99. 100 is not included. If you want to stop at 100, you have to say 101. So it will be from 0 to 100. It will not include 101. The upper bound is excluded. So now, if you are supplying two arguments, then for example 2 comma 20, it is going to be starting at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 till it gets to 19. It will not include 20. If you are supplying three arguments, it's going to be doing something like, for example, 2, 20, and 3. It is going to be counting, the step is going to be 3. Everything that we have been doing since the step have always been 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if it is 2 comma 20 comma 3, it will be 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17. Like you can see, the step is going to be in threes. Now for this case now, the first iteration is going to be 0. So I have to increment, I have to like add 1 to it, so that the first thing is going to be showing me will be 1. So if he, after executing this line of code now, it will go back and increment itself. Now it is 1. I'll come here, instead of that 1, I'm going to be adding 1, then halogeneous is going to be giving me 2 halogeneous. So that is it basically. Just go through for loops here. It is quite it is very very understandable. So using the while loop, let me use the while loop. Let me put this one inside here. Using the while loop, I'll start with my index variable. Index equal to 1. So while index is less than or equal to 100, print formatted string. I'm feeling lazy to type. Let me just copy this, then paste it here. And but don't forget, you have to increment. If you don't increment, your program will run into an endless loop. So no, 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 no. I've made a mistake somewhere here. I've made a, no, no, this should be index. Should be index. Yes. No, I'm starting from 1 and I'm closing at 100, so I'm not supposed to do this. Okay, so that is it basically. So moving on to the next one. Write a program that will compute and print the result of this. Well, this is pretty straightforward. So let me just use multi-line commenting as usual. So okay, so write a program that computes and prints the result of this over this. Very simple. Now you might decide to make it more self-explanatory. I can do something like numerator equal to this. Let me just copy it and paste it. Then denominator equal to all of this. Because I've written it within the comments, so I can say results equal to numerator per denominator. So after that, I'll print my results. Okay, so you can see I have my results. I might even do this. Copy, then this, yes, this will work as well. So then if I'm doing this directly, then I'm not going to be needing the whole of this one. I can just comment them out. So 512 minus 282 47.48 plus 5. So if you want to understand why I can do this directly like this, come to arithmetic operators. Under operators, you will see just fast forward it a bit. You can see I have operators here. So under operators, you will see, you will know the reason why I can do this directly. So, and the reason why I have to put the whole of this inside the bracket to be able to get the same result. So let me take the bracket out so you see what I'm saying. If I should take the bracket out, I should take the bracket out and I run it. You see, I'm getting something else, but and it's due to the precedence of arithmetic operators. So just try to go through operators. You understand what I'm doing here. So going to the next one, ask the user to enter a number, then print out the square of the number. Use the SCP optional argument to print it out in full sentence that ends in a period. Um, okay, so let me copy everything. Come back here. Multi-line commenting again. Okay. Okay. So very simple. What I want to do here, you come to code like a pro. You will see it under input and output. Yes, input process output. You will see it under input process output. So you see it under input process output. So I did the input function, and the reason why when you supply input to Python for the first originally Python will be treating it as a string data type. So you have to, if you want to do numerical computations using the data the user have given you, you have to first of all convert to an integer or a float or the complex data type as the case may be. But I don't use the complex data type because like it sounds, it is complex and so I love simple stuff. So moving on, what we want to do is to say maybe, let me say entry equal to inputs. Let me say enter. Okay, they have already given us sample input here. Enter a number. So let me just put, okay, they didn't put any space there, so let me just leave it. Normally I would want to space it a bit like this to make it look neater, but since they didn't, so the next thing I want to do is to say entry equal to int entry. So I might decide to use float as well, but 5 and 5.0 are two different things, they are not the same. So in this case they said 5, and 5 is yielding 25, not 25.0. So I assume they want us to treat the input data as an integer. So, and that is what I'm going to be doing here. I can say the square equal to entry raised to the power of 2. Entry raised to the power of 2, or you can say entry times entry. Both of them, mathematically speaking, they mean the same thing. So if you want to understand this, how I'm using this and not the regular times that we know. So if you come to operators, if you come to operators, yes. So if you come to operators, you will see it. Okay, moving on. So the SEP optional arguments, you can just print. Um, Let me just copy the order of this. Easy. So the square of 5 um, is 25. Okay. So then come here, SEP, separate it using a space because that is what they are separating with. Okay, so the square of the entry is square, and that's it. So if I should run this, enter a number 5, you can see the square of 5 is 25. I don't like the way it is spacing this last one. What can I do? You can see that for the sample, this space over here, 25, there's no space here, but in my results I'm having a space there. So well, what can I do? Let me see if I can try something here. Okay, so let me say f then square. You have to be skillful in this life. Okay, so um I should run it 5. Holy cow, works fine. So let me run it again and give it 6 this time. It works fine. One small 7, it works just fine. So moving on, number 6. Ask the user to enter a number X, then use the SEP optional argument to print out this. Okay, then enter a number 7. Let me just copy the problem. As usual, we paste it. Okay, so enter a number. Mm, Let me just copy what I did here. Like I said, if you want to understand what I'm doing here with this input function over here, you come to input process output. Come to input process output, you will understand it. So entry equals to input, enter a number. So um what you want to do is first you convert the number to an integer because like I said, originally it is going to be giving you a string. Let's demonstrate it. Print entry. So if I should run this and I say 4, it's giving me 4. So let me say 4 plus 7, 7. You can see I'm running into a type error because I cannot combine a string with an integer. So that is what I'm trying to do here. You can see. So first of all, I have to do what they call typecasting. Equal to typecasting. Typecasting is somewhere here. Yes, typecasting is somewhere here. All these ads, I don't know where you're coming from. So this is typecasting over here. So you come under typecasting, you will understand what I'm doing here. So int entry. Okay, so from there, if I should run this now, if I say 5, it's giving me 12 because this is 5. I've converted 5 to an integer, so now entry will be 5, it will be printing 5 plus 7, giving me 12. So, and everything I've been doing since, using variables and whatsoever, come to variables, you will understand them. If you come to variables, you will understand them better. So, um, okay, so since I've converted my entry into an integer, the next thing I want to do is to print um, entry, comma, entry multiplied by 2, comma, entry multiplied by 3, comma, entry multiplied by 4, comma, entry, sorry, multiplied by 5, then separate them using 2 dash, abi? Okay, 3 dashes. So if I should enter this and put in 7, you see, working just fine. So let us use 5, you see, it is working just fine. So I think we are going to the last one now. Write a program that asks the user for weight in kilograms, then convert it to pounds. So there are 2.2 pounds in a kilogram. So basically 1 kilogram is equivalent to 2.2 pounds. So if we ask the user for weight in kilograms, for us to convert it to pounds, we just multiply the kilograms, whatever the user gives us, by 2.2, then we get our um, the pounds equivalent of what the user gave us in kilograms. So as usual, I'll copy this. I'll copy this. Then no. I multi-line commenting, paste it, and I'd like to see everything. Okay, so as usual, so under data types, if you come to code like a pro, under data types, I explained something here. So data types, we have the integers and we have the floats. Now both of them are not the same thing, even though sometimes in some cases you might use them interchangeably and get away with it, but everything has to be done decently and in order, says the Bible. So what do I mean? In this case, every other thing we have been doing, we have been working with the integer, the integer. But in this case now, we are supposed to work with a float. Why? Weight is not cannot be counted, it can be measured. I explained that under data types. So the difference between integers and floats is that for integers you can count them. For example, number of something you can count, number of people that attended a particular event, number of students in a class, you understand, number of products in a package, something like that. But because you can count them, it can be represented using integers. But on the other hand, there are some things you can't count. For example, height, weight, you cannot count them, you can only measure them. You understand? So measuring them means that it is a floating point data type. So that is where you call them decimal numbers. That's what the layman will call it. Mathematicians don't say decimal numbers. They say floating point numbers because decimal numbers are numbers in base 10. Decimal numbers can be integers too. So we call it floating point number. So in this case now we are going to be using the float data type because we are dealing with weight, and weight cannot be counted, it can only be measured. So it's a floating point data type. So in this case, enter weight in kilograms. So you can print, or you can say, to make it neater, pounds equivalent equal to the entry, anything the user gives me, multiplied by 2.2, and that is it. So you can just print the pound equivalent. If I should run this weight in kilogram, let me see, 7.5. No. I must have made a mistake somewhere here. I must have made a mistake somewhere here. 7.5. Okay, yes, you can see 16.5. So although to make the output look neater, you can do something like this. So the kg equivalent of what the user gave to me, entry, no, the pound equivalent of entry kg equal to this. Okay, everything I've been doing with formatted strings since. If you come to code like a pro, you should see it under strings. Yes, you should see it under strings. So the pound equivalent of this kg equal to, let me, okay, so for example, if I should say maybe 10 kg, the pound equivalent of 10, you can see that I entered 10, but it is taking it as 10.0, which is what it's supposed to be. So the kilograms is a floating point kind of data, not, it's not an integer kind of data. So thank you very much, and like I said, anything that you are having issues understanding, please go to code like a pro, then you try to juggle your way through it over here. It is quite self-explanatory, trust me. But if you have any questions, the comment section is open. Um I will respond to you as soon as I can. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the second part of the video, where I'll be answering the question 2 part of the assignment. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.